Good evening. I am having a late night white tea session, and this is a tea lira purchase, which I have more from this company coming along the way. I took a chance in trying one of their higher end teas, and this is definitely an interesting one. So I went ahead and decided to try other wild teas that they have in their white tea section. So, and I think I got a black tea as well. But this one is really interesting in that it's a highly sought after cultivar. Supposedly it's a more luxurious, more robust, full-bodied flavor that has its reputation in China. But the interesting thing with this is that when you smell the dry leaf, it very much reminds you of like a yellow tea. And now yellow teas are kind of semi-fermented. They're not fully oxidized, they're not fully fermented like pu'er teas or heichas, but they are slightly steamed after they are roasted and dried in traditionally it would be like a kettle, right, or a wok. Once they pan fry the green leaves in order to stop the oxidation process, what freezes that color, they would then steam the leaves and let the leaves sit for a while. I'm not too sure about how long they would let. I think it's just up to the tea master on how long, whatever their recipe is or their method is of letting the leaves sit and steam for a bit. So you get a little bit of kind of like a funky fermentation smell to it. It's definitely sweet. It's not as funky as what it seems. But what you get in this is a really bright golden hue, and that's why it looks orange here. Hopefully you saw the liquor in the white porcelain. And you get a very, again, it's like a yellow tea. You get that very spinachy herbs like rosemary. It's like a between spinach and rosemary. It's sweet, but it's still a little bit vegetable, or like not Brussels sprouts, but was the Chinese one, bok choy. It's kind of like that, like really leafy greens with a hint of rosemary. And as you continue along with your infusions, you get more of kind of like a spring melon rind. There's someone else who left a review about this tea, like, oh, they smell melon, like they taste melon. I'm like, it's not necessarily that sweet, but melon rind, definitely you get this. And then more like lighter floral notes like gardenia, even. So it's definitely an interesting white tea. White tea does, in fact, make you sweat, though, just a heads up. And so I can feel it right now, but it's pretty refreshing. Let me show you the dry leaf. Okay, so the interesting thing with this cultivar, again, is the dark color. And you see that little bit of the yellow coloration, right, in those tea leaves. And so that's why I say, like, it very much reminds you of a yellow tea, especially when you smell it fresh out of the bag here. And you see a little bit of those darker oranges. And so those oranges are more so, I think, for the stems. That's like a red stem. So I think that's what the orange color comes from. But I think that yellowish color, again, yellow tea is what it very much reminds me of. Now it's categorized as a white tea, and I think it's more of like a wild cultivar. If anybody knows anything about this particular cultivar, it's translated as red jade white tea. And I think red jade is like referring to the darker color of the dry leaf. And the only time I've had a white tea, because typically when you get white teas, right, they're usually more lighter green, white, especially if you're getting the silver needle buds, right? The only time I've ever had a darker leaf white tea was a purple leaf white tea, which I still have a huge batch of, and I want to pull out again. But yeah, white teas are really interesting, and I have a couple more on the way. Wild teas. I think that's what my next phase will be, trying out wild teas.